Okay, welcome back. In this tutorial, we're covering Pages Inspector's table palette, and the table palette is located fourth icon from the right, and it looks like a little table here. You can see a few cells inside there. Right now, what I need to do is add a table to my document. I can click on the icon here. I can also go to Insert, and there it is, Table. But I'm going ahead and click on the document. By default, Apple puts in three columns by 4 rows, and the top row is a header row that's already shaded a gray fill. Now, changing the size of your table, you can use grab handles here, and you can decrease the width, increase the height, and it's a very flexible table. You can move this around. You can also make this table floatable, so you can move it around the document like an image. Right now, I'm just going to go ahead and leave the table at this size. So if we go over here to the inspector and look at what the table options are, we can increase rows. And as you can see here, the rows are increasing. We've got a total of 5. We can decrease them. Same thing with columns. You can add columns and remove columns. And the header and footer adds a header and footer row to what's already on the page here. So if I want to add 2 header rows, you can see 2 more columns have been added for header rows. And I can go down to 0, take those away, or we can add 1 footer row, and it automatically colors the footer, and that's done by the default settings. So I'm going to go back to 0 on that. We have edit rows and columns, and this option allows you to add a row above, below. If you're already using a column and you say you have information in here, you need a row to go above. Let's go ahead and put some information in these rows so we can show you what that looks like. Go ahead and navigate to each row, put the information in there. And we'll just do a little shortcut here. There we go. So if we wanted to put a row in above this row, we could go ahead here and select the edit rows and go add a row above, and that would put a row above, and you can see there's a blank row above there. And if we select this again and go add a row below, puts a row below that text. So you can add some rows in between where you've already have data inside the document. And you also have some functions in here about splitting rows and splitting columns. In this case, if I select this blank row here, I can go in and go split row, and it is now split because I had the cell selected, it split that one cell. I can also just select all those cells, come over here, and again split the cells, split the rows, and it split them. So it's made 2. Now moving on, we have the column width and the row height. In this case, because we have varying rows and in columns, we need to delete some of these out. So we should have a delete function here, delete row. There we go. We'll get rid of those. So now, okay, now it's highlighted. We can increase the row height and width here. In this case, because I have 1 row selected, it's choosing to do it the one row. But if I select the entire cell, I can go ahead and increase the cell height and the column width, and automatically resize to fit content. If I have content in here and that content continues to go outside, it will actually increase the cell. If I deselect this, it will not increase the cell. You'll see there's a little plus button here. In other words, there is more text going beyond that cell. So go ahead and take that out. And we'll do it one more time. There we go. Now, cell borders. This allows us to change the border cells, the lines that are on the border. We can do a line, we can do dots, dashes. We can increase the size of them. This is great if you want to do a specific formatting for especially creating graphical organizers and organizing data. We can change the colors of those. We can change the opacity. All the functionality that you've seen in other sections here. I think we covered this when we were talking about the text color and also object color. You have lots of options for changing how that image looks in both the color, the opacity, and the textures. And so I'm going to go back to a standard line, bring it back down to 1-point font. And here we can select specific lines to make adjustments to. You can see it's just selected that outside line, so we could just put dots on that outside line, and we could increase the font or the color of those on the outside line. And you see now it's blue dots out here. So let's go on, bring that back to the way it was. Okay. The cell background, we can change the fill in the background. I'm not going to go into detail on this because we did cover this in the objects here and right here. In objects, we covered how to do fills and do these varying fills. So go ahead back and take a look at that tutorial. That is a graphics tutorial, and I'll show you how to do all those fills. But the fills are the same thing. We can pick a color, we can pick a gradient fill, and we can change how the inside of that cell looks. There we go. Change it to orange. And of course, we can do gradient fills, and we can change those to a different color too. So you can get pretty colorful with your documents, alternating row and colors. And again, we can flip the gradients on how they look or the angle that the gradients are actually coming from. And return key moves to next cell. If you check this, if you hit enter at any time inside the cell, you could see now my cell over here is highlighted in blue. So if I click inside here and I hit return, you can see it's jumping down to the next cell. Formatting. Formatting covers cell formatting on numeracy, fractions. If we choose, this is set to automatic, and it's set by the preferences inside of the pages, system preferences, which we covered in another tutorial. But you can make some changes to that in number conditioning. So we've selected numbers. We can select the number of decimal points. We can have it round to, in this case, it rounds to the thousandths with the separator. We can show rules for conditional formatting, and a lot of these are going to be, the formatting is going to be covered inside of the numbers tutorial. So if you want to learn more about scientific formatting and that sort of thing to work with your class, you might want to take a look at my numbers tutorial when I put that up on the Deering Online website. So that's it for tables. When we come back, we will talk about graphs.